Well, it looks like people have caught on that Yama is coming out soon. For a long time, the economy was stagnating, things were going down, but with this massive update coming out in under 2 weeks, prices have started to shift dramatically, and probably the most talked about item of the month has to be the Tormented Synapse. This is actually kind of wild when you think about it. The Synapse is now, as of recording this, nearly 80 mil. It has literally doubled since last month, and that's crazy considering Synapses are relatively common from Tormented Demons. Demons are very in right now because we have the Yama of Pacts coming out in 2 weeks. We had an Abyssal Sire change, and we had Tormented Demons added with 3 Synapse weapons. They're strong against demons. Now, why are Tormented Synapses going up so much? Well, it's coming down to speculation that Yama will be susceptible to them, and that's a pretty fair guess because we know that Yama is a demon. But in the past, Jagex has made exceptions for things like Duke, where they somewhat nerfed the Demon Bane effect against them to leave room for the Mega Rares to still surpass them. So we're kind of waiting to see whether the Synapses are going to be the second best item, or maybe the third best item, or possibly the first best item. It seems unlikely, but it seems most people think they will be useful because they've literally doubled. And the other item drop from Tormented Demons is the Burning Claw, and the Burning Claw has also gone up a lot in the last week, going up about 25% in the month so far. Once again, this comes down to the fact that the Burning Claw very well may be one of the best spec weapons to use at Yama, because it does more damage versus demons, and the burn effect is quite strong. And another item that's gone up a ton is the Blood Rune. Blood Runes are up still past 300 GP each. They've been rising for a while, and there's a couple reasons for this. Firstly, Blood Runes are used in a Scythe, and the Scythe is probably by and large the assumed BIS weapon for the new Yama boss, and you need to charge it with Blood Runes, so direct connection there. Blood Runes are going up a lot. It takes a pretty significant push for Blood Runes to go above their floor price, which is 200. You can see for a long time they were just at 200. A couple times they peaked up and down again. It's pretty much taken Jagex purposely designing almost every update with the Scythe in mind for almost 2 years for Blood Runes to actually get pushed up past their floor. Another thing to consider here, though, is also with the summer sweep up coming up, they have mentioned that they're looking to clean up some of the old school drop tables, and what was directly mentioned was actually Blood Runes, but they could be talking about a bunch of different items that are dropped in too high quantities from PVM. So it's possible the supply of Blood Runes could go down if Jagex makes some nerfs. Another interesting item this month is actually the Crystal Tool Seed. This item is so expensive, it's 30 mil, and it's pretty much been in an upward trajectory forever. Like, going back to 2020, this thing was worth 400k, and now it's worth 100 times that. Now I think this comes down to the fact that the item is honestly pretty rare, but has a pretty ubiquitous use anywhere you want to just straight up trade money for more mining experience. That's always going to be useful because mining sucks. Now, just this month, it has jumped up significantly more, and I think this could actually have to do with Yama, because with the introduction of Yama, we are getting a mining method as well. You'll be able to mine these shards that you'll be able to combine with a drop from Yama to make the new armor. So the mining method will probably be quite profitable on release, and to get the most money per hour, you might want a crystal pickaxe. And that's why I think it may have gone up by about 25% in the last month. Another interesting item here, the Samfuse Serum, which all of a sudden out of nowhere spiked up from 13k to about 20k. Samfuse have been on a pretty long slide ever since they buffed the amount of nail beast nails that get dropped. They've kind of plummeted. They honestly were hardly cheaper than prayer potions at that point, but all of a sudden they jumped up to 20k and are still a bit higher. From what I can tell, this is literally just from a behemoth video. Which just goes to show how easy it is to affect prices with videos. I mean, I've done it so many times. I just talk about an item in even one of these videos and all of a sudden it's jumped up. Maybe they're undervalued, I don't know. But people bought 10 times more than average on April 30th. Now, another big item increase this month, enhanced teleport crystals, which have gone from 2 mil to 2.5 mil. Now, a lot of people misassociate this with, the price of the Bofa. But if you look, the Bow of Verdun is actually sliding significantly. This quarter, it's gone from 170 mil down to 120. So it's tanking. This is not anything to do with that. The price of teleport seeds is actually directly linked to the price of divine potions, and more specifically, the divine super combat potion. So whenever a piece of content that comes out that requires melee, that will force divine super combats up. We can see they've gone up to 3k in the last month, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's actually quite significant. And because to make them, you need crystal shards. and the easiest way to directly get crystal shards is through these enhanced crystal seeds. Now if you've ever wanted to ask me a question in person, maybe come pester me on my stream. I'm streaming now on Twitch. There'll be a link in the description, come give me a follow. I'm going live pretty often now. So with Yama coming out, we are getting a side grade to Torva, so we have to have a look at Torva. It's not doing great, still plummeting, although it has recovered a bit since April. Plate legs are currently hovering around 260, plate body is around 315 mil, and the full helm was the only thing that's actually faring reasonably well, actually going up 10-20 mil in the last few months. Now this comes down to the fact that most likely, with Oath Plate coming out and places like the Theater of Blood, you'll be wearing a combination of Oath Plate and Torva, and a lot of people think the Torva full helm is the one piece you will probably keep from the Torva set, but we'll have to see. Since this is aimed at endgame players, we do have to look at the scythe. The scythe is the main vector here. Now it's come down a bit since its all-time high of 1.9 bill, but it's still hovering at pretty much an all-time high. That can't be said for all the mega rares though. Particularly the Shadow is absolutely falling off a cliff. This month has gone down 100 mil. Over the last quarter it's gone down 300 mil almost. And there's two factors here. First is high level players can pump out purples here much faster than the other two raids. And secondly, Magic is just kind of in a bit of a slump generally. Most of the content over the last 2 years has been melee focused or range focused. Magic hasn't seen too many uses. We'll see though, with Yama coming out, we don't know for sure. All three combat styles are most likely going to get used though, but we don't know how important each style will be. Honestly, the Twisted Bow has seen stagnating uses as well, but it's just so much rarer. There's just way less of them coming into the game generally. But even the Twisted Bow has fallen about 100 mil in the last quarter as well. Now with no Deadman mode in sight, the Armageddon items have just been rocketing upwards. Who knows when we're gonna get Deadman mode? The roadmap didn't show it anywhere in there. I mean, it didn't talk about leagues too much. It sounds like it's gonna be a while, and these Armageddon items are essentially discontinued until they reintroduce Deadman mode, and we know Kumina's gonna be. The Armageddon rug first sold for 2 mil and now is up to about 40 mil. The Cape fabric, originally sold for 10 mil, is now up to 76 mil. The weapon scroll, which originally sold for 20 mil, is up to 153 mil and just continues to pump upwards. And the Armageddon teleport scroll, originally sold for 13 mil, is now up to 120, with really no end in sight. Now, although some items are skyrocketing for Yama, some items are stagnating and others are dropping pretty rapidly. Now, one of those items is the Soul Reaper Axe, which peaked in April at nearly 500 mil, but since then has started to fall downwards. And I think it's because community sentiment has kind of shifted towards the Synapse weapons being the second best item instead of the Soul Reaper Axe. Who knows, but these are kind of competing for the hype space, as I would put it. The only reason the Soul Reaper spikes so hard is because people think it might be the next best option after the Scythe for Yama, but if it's not, then it's gonna probably tank back down to 400 mil. The only other factor is Oath Plate. The Soul Reaper Axe and Oath Plate will be pretty strong, and if it pushes it over the line to make the Soul Reaper better at certain bosses, then maybe the price increase is justified, but this month at least people don't think that, as the Soul Reaper's fallen about 70 mil. Another item that was pretty hyped and has now fallen in price quite a bit is the Noxious halberd. Now the reason the halberd went up so much initially is because they're going to be buffing it in the summer sweep up. All halberds will have a higher attack range, meaning you'll be able to use it against things like Zora, Armadillo, and some other things as well. It went up to as high as about 50 mil, and now has fallen down about 25-30% down to 35 mil. In the end of the day, this is still a relatively common item from a heavily farmed Slayer boss, so it really takes a lot to push items like these upwards, because they're not uncommon and the boss is very popular. Another item I was looking at this month is actually the Voidwaker components. It's really interesting to me. I first looked at the Voidwaker hilt, which has fallen a tremendous amount this quarter, losing 50% of its value in just a couple of months, and just continuing to plummet. Conversely though, the Voidwaker gem is continuing to go upwards. All of the value of the Voidwaker is getting concentrated in the Voidwaker gem, which is the spindle component. The Ardio component and the Calvarion are getting farmed to Falador and back, and I guess Spindle is just the most dangerous and the least botted. We'll see if that changes, but I thought that was interesting. Now, another item that spiked and gone down a lot is the Spectral Spirit Shield. In April, peaked at nearly 60 mil and is falling back down again. Now, I think this original peak probably had something to do with how profitable Cerberus was. And with the price and the hype dying down on the Cerberus boots, the spectral has lost a bit of its desirability. And on top of that, I've actually noticed a pretty large discussion around Cerberus and how annoying getting punished for the ghost mechanic is, even when you do it correctly. So maybe people are internalizing that maybe Jagex will remove that when you do it correctly and the spectral will have no home after that. Okay, a couple other random items I noticed pretty big price changes on. Just today, the Eternal Gem has peaked up to 11 mil. Once again, I think this is just speculation, manipulation, or literally anyone mentioning this in the video. Jumped up 30-40%. The Cape of Skulls, another item, has gone up a lot this month alone, going from 4 mil up to a peak of 10 mil just in the last like 2 weeks or so, literally doubling in price. The good old Lobster. What happened with the Lobster, guys? Went up to as high as 400 mil just a couple weeks ago. Very interesting. Now finally, looking at the old school bond, it has started to rise rapidly again. It was kind of stagnating for a while around the kind of 13 to 15 mil range, but ever since April has started to rise rapidly, hitting highs of 17 mil a few times, currently hitting highs of about 16.5 mil. There's really not that many drops anymore, it's just woo! I think unfortunately gold inflation is just kind of out of control, and we'll see what Jagex changes with the summer sweep up. But the amount of gold in old school just keeps inflating at such a fast pace, through a combination of raw cash drops, alkables, probably the underrated killer, the Shopscape. Being able to sell items to shops for unlimited gold probably pumps a ton of gold into the economy as well. And the question of the day, which I just started this episode, does it matter if the economy is inflated with gold or not? Anyway guys, thanks for watching as always, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.